So I wanted to have a discussion about Xbox right now that 2018 has ended and we are into 2019, mainly discussing things in this console generation and my opinions on their hardware, games, business practices, and just things like that. Obviously these are my opinions, and I want you guys to hear me out and then tell me yours in the comments down below. And I also needed to preface this entire video by saying I love Xbox. I've been playing Xbox, it's the 360 since around 2008 I think, and I pretty much started playing Halo 3 and just a bunch of games like that, classic Xbox 360 games, and it's been pretty much my only console of choice ever since then. Even when I recently got a PS4 just to play Spider-Man, I still play my PS4 occasionally for exclusives, but my main console of choice that I play with all my friends that I have been playing for over a decade now is Xbox. So why, in my opinion, has it really sucked, for the most part, to be an Xbox fan this generation? Well, just looking back all the way to 2013, and the weird stuff with the Xbox One and the way they were presenting it. They advertised the entire thing as being an all-in-one media center that you could just plug like cable boxes into, and I kind of like that feature. Honestly, I think that's kind of cool still, being able to do that today. And it was just weird, and I'm not really sure why they thought that was the future of console gaming. Also, all this stuff with not originally being able to play pre-owned games, and from the start, it's just clear that their focus was all over the place. Also, the Kinect. Remember that? Probably not. I mean, you might, but a lot of people probably don't. The Kinect is really weird, because when the original came out for the 360, I really enjoyed it. Like, it was weird. The technology wasn't perfect, obviously. It had a lot of problems, but it was a cool gimmick, kind of, and as being like a really young kid at the time, I just really enjoyed it, and right when the first one launched, it was cool. However, the way they tried to incorporate it in with all their all-in-one media center thing just didn't float. It just is not the way console gaming obviously went, and they were very wrong, I guess, in their predictions. Not to mention, it initially launched with the console, forcing the price up to $500, which is pretty insane considering the PS4 also launched right around that same time for $400. So for the next 4 years, everybody that wanted a console pretty much went and bought a PS4 since it was cheaper, and they also got to play exclusives like The Last of Us Remastered and other things like that. And then even when Xbox started selling without the Kinect, it still never really made up for lost time and continued to sell way less than the PS4. Then the Switch came out, and to many people's surprise, it was actually really cool, and I remember when I first saw the Switch reveal, I was like, that looks kinda stupid, are people really gonna be into that? But to my surprise, they were, and it actually was pretty unique to a lot of people, and a lot of people ended up purchasing it. So yeah, Microsoft clearly made a ton of bad moves involving the Xbox One release, and even to this day, the Xbox One is not that far ahead of the Switch in terms of sales. So that just kinda shows how far the Switch has come in the same amount of time really the Xbox has, even though the Xbox has had, what, 4 years, and the Switch came out in 2017, so that's just really unfortunate. Now the console itself for the Xbox One I thought was pretty good. It may not have been as technically impressive or powerful as the PS4, and it still had a ton of dumb things like a power brick and a weird bulky design, but I'd say most owners were decently satisfied. Also, things like the original UI sucked, and it definitely took them a little while to get everything the way it should be, just like it does when any new console launches, so again, that's really to be expected. They also released the One S, which is a pretty good console. It has a sleek new design, supports vertical orientation, and overall was just a lot nicer. And then the One X also released, which a ton of people from my impressions don't really own or really see an interest in buying, but it by all means is a technically great console, and once again is technically the best choice if you want just the most powerful, visually amazing 4K console gaming experience in existence. If you want that, you're gonna get the One X since it technically is the best. So yeah, that's all great, but what about the game, since that is why we have to buy these consoles in the first place. The 360 and the original Xbox both had incredible generation-defining exclusives. Obviously, I know this is the easy one to pull out, but Halo CE was a launch title for the original Xbox and went on to become one of the most important games ever released. Forza, Crackdown, Fable, Gears of War, all these were relevant franchises that went on to become really important series for the Xbox consoles. And overall, there were just a good number of really good exclusives and important ones for both of those consoles. A lot of trash too, but I would say more good than bad, and it was good to be an Xbox fan, especially in the 360 generation. You were made fun of if you had a PS3. Everyone was like, the 360 is great, the controller was great, the exclusives were great. It was such a great period of time for gaming, the 360 era, like 2007, 2008, right when Halo 3 released, that I know so many people love, and that's kind of when I started, so that meant a lot to me, and just to see kind of where it's gone now, it's really unfortunate, but yeah, there were just so many good exclusives. And then we get to the Xbox One when it launched in 2013, and there were not even really that many bad games. They're just so inferior compared to the competition, which I'll talk about that later, but many of the games in the last 4 years have been pretty good, or at least decent, but just not as much as they need to be. They had bad new releases kind of in their biggest franchises. Halo 5 had a bad campaign, a terrible story, and the multiplayer isn't really Halo, neither is the gameplay. There was no content at launch. Halo 5's been ragged on enough. I have tons of videos talking about it. obviously. Gears of War 4, I'm not a huge fan of the Gears franchise, but people generally seem to like that game. I know there's some kind of divisive opinions, but it was still missing something for a lot of people that made those first 3 games so great. And then Forza games kept on releasing, and that thankfully is still going strong. And there have been a couple of other like exclusives that have come out. Obviously there have been a ton, but like Recore, I don't think anyone really remembers that. Quantum Break, just a bunch of different things like that. For the most part, I'd say people were decently satisfied with them, but not as much as they should be, once again, compared to the competition. And also, there were a number of canceled games that should have been a big win for Xbox. Scalebound, I don't know if you guys remember that, they showed it off, I think, like E3 2016 or 15, one of those. It was like that cool, it looked like an RPG, maybe dragon game with that dude with the headphones, and I remember seeing the gameplay and I was like, that looks pretty impressive. Like, for a console game, I was like, that has potential, it could be cool. Got canceled, whatever. Alright, well, Fable Legends, people love Fable, there's another Fable game coming out. Let's see what, oh, okay, it's canceled. Alright, well, there's 2 games just down the drain. Crackdown 3, people want that, let's just delay it for 4 or 5 years. Alright, great. Love Xbox. But overall, they still ended up releasing a number of bad to average exclusives. Then we get to this year, which started with Sea of Thieves, which launched with an abysmal amount of content and simple gameplay that some people found fun in, but most were pretty disappointed. So you know, we're not starting the year off great, but let's see what happens. Next was State of Decay 2, a game asked for by fans for years, which many people enjoyed, and it did a lot right in the game, and it had a good amount of fun to be had, but as a full experience, it just didn't really stay interesting for too long to a lot of people, even though you're only paying $30 for the game. And then next, they ended the year with Forza Horizon 4, which is very, very good, and actually to many seems to be one of the best racing games ever released. So I definitely prefer the Forza Horizon series over the mainline Forza games, and it is still great that Xbox is releasing high quality games in this series since it is such a staple of Xbox, so I was really happy about that success. They also had Ashen released this year, which many people seem to really enjoy, and it's nice that that is another win for Xbox this year since it is an exclusive. And that's all great, and for Xbox that's not a terrible selection, but just compare their 3 big AAA exclusives to God of War and Spider-Man were both fantastic games that were on many people's Game of the Year list. And even Switch had Smash, Octopath Traveler, Pokemon, all games that people really loved. So yeah, Xbox clearly lost the race this year, it's not even a competition, and besides Forza 4, they were really just lacking so much, and it sucked to see. It sucked to see Xbox exclusive after Xbox exclusive come out and just meet mediocre reviews and a lot of complaints by people. That really sucks to see since they have such a good history with a lot of good exclusives. Not the Xbox One, but just the Xbox history as a whole. But ignoring that, let's move on to the future, 2019, for what we can be excited for and actually discuss what Xbox has done well this generation as well. So yeah, enough negativity, let's move on to some positives of Xbox for this generation. For all the forgettable exclusives they have released, they've also had a ton of really good, memorable, or at least fun game exclusives they've released. Cuphead is fantastic, all the Forza games they released have all been pretty much great. Sunset Overdrive was really cool, Ori, the first Ori game, is great. Titanfall 1 I really enjoy, Rare Replay a lot of people found fun in, Quantum Break was really experimental and a lot of people really enjoyed, and the Master Chief Collection, now that it's fixed, is just an incredible experience, and especially for the price you can get it at now if you've never played any of those games. Now that it's mostly fixed, it's just incredible, definitely recommend getting it. Xbox in 2018 also managed to release a number of previously unavailable games on this console, like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, No Man's Sky, Nier Automata, and just games like that to finally be able to play them on Xbox is really cool. Their Play Anywhere system is really cool and awesome and super consumer friendly, and just a great way for them to go in the future of their consoles and games. Xbox is also clearly aware of their current position and announced this year that 7 new studios would be joining Microsoft to create games. Those studios were The Initiative, which is a new studio, Undead Labs, which made State of Decay, Playground Games, which did the Forza Horizon games, Ninja Theory, which did Hellblade, Compulsion, which did We Happy Few, In Exile, which develops RPGs, and Obsidian, which of course developed Fallout New Vegas and is now making the Outer Worlds, releasing in 2019. So this is really cool and exciting to see that their games, they are aware of their situation, and I'm really excited to see the games that they will be making. Game Pass is also something that Xbox is doing very well compared to the competition, and that's obviously, I think, in my opinion, one of the things that they're doing just super well this console generation. They're actually updating this monthly, like not like I thought I would. I thought they would just kind of like throw their trash games on there, their throwaway trash from developers that they don't really care about, but no, they're actually putting really good games on there, and not even like that, like there's so many games. I believe there's like over 100 now, or there's just so many good ones, and anyone, in my opinion, that has an Xbox can find something to play, and they do these sales so often where they have like $1 for 3 months, so I just initially didn't really care about it, but now I am a really big fan, and that, in my opinion, is just one of the things they've done really well over the competition with kind of this Netflix style subscription service that they've done compared to PlayStation and Nintendo. So once again, good job Microsoft on that. And finally, looking to 2019, we do obviously have to look at their big exclusives releasing, which are going to be Ori and the Will of the Wisp, which looks great. Crackdown 3, we'll see how that turns out. If it actually does end up releasing, it looks like it will. We'll see how the quality is. Battletoads, which we know nothing about, hopefully it's good. And Gears 5, which hopefully will be awesome, and a lot of people will really be pleased about that. They're fans of the series. Also, there is new Cuphead DLC, which is coming out, which is awesome. And this is probably one of the best things to ever come to the Xbox One that they've had this generation, is just have a success with Cuphead like that is awesome. Very excited to see how the DLC is for that. And I'm also very excited to see about the future, especially seeing hopefully the reveal of their new console, maybe just kind of where they're headed, a clear direction, and just new games like Halo Infinite, and just things like that. And with Sony not being at E3 this year, it might really give Microsoft a chance to really shine and have all the spotlight on them, and hopefully Xbox can get on their feet finally this generation and start giving meaningful reasons to own an Xbox One finally, 5 years later. So let me know what you guys think about the current state of Xbox. Do you guys think that their exclusives so far have been really bad? Do you think they've just been okay? What do you think about their 2018 stuff? And what do you think about what I said they've done well, including Game Pass, their new studios they're getting, and just things like that? Once again, let me know what you guys thought about all of this, and once again, let's try and all just have a conversation about Xbox, since I assume if you are watching this, you are a fan of Xbox like me, you are a big fan, you love them like I do. I just have been pretty disappointed so far with how Xbox One has been this generation, but I think there's a lot of potential in the future, and hopefully next console generation, and just even in the future, Xbox can really come back and start putting out really good exclusives. Thank you guys for watching. Majestic Gaming.